I'm back. Sorry I was late. I had taken some video earlier today, and I had forgotten that I had completely taken everything down so that I could take that video. And so I had to set everything up in a hurry to get back online. So a lot has happened since the last time I was on. I got this eye mechanism sort of working. So let's see. It's not quite 100%. It's close. I want to figure out this mouth palate a little bit better. Basically, I think what I need to do is I made the finger grips last time. I made the finger grips last time, and I don't know if you can see it. I think they're just a little too loose. I think they just need to be a little bit tighter, and I can make a new one for that. I'm gonna have to remake this whole head because there's so many holes in it that I don't know if you can see. See those holes in there? Completely useless. Don't use them at all anymore. But you know, I had to figure it all out, and sometimes the only way to do that is to just you know, start over. Let me show you a few things here. These are some. I think these are Ralphie's eyes. No, these are from one of the rebuilds. I had made some eyes for Ralph, which was a single pull. But as you can see, it doesn't get a whole lot of. There's not a whole lot of motion out of it. A little bit, and even less when it's in the head. In fact, I could probably install this in one of the heads, the leftover heads that I have. Okay, so there's a head. I need to glue this back together. So I had a lot of iterations of this head, these eyes that I did. The ones I did yesterday or last night. About midnight, I had an idea like, oh, I wonder if this would work. And I put it together and posted it, and then reworked it again this morning. And then Amber got on there, and she had some very valid concerns, but I didn't want to hear any of it. I just, you know, had to regroup a little bit. And I think it's much better now. But the way that the original one worked, I'll show you this. The way the original one worked is there was a scissor in here. Like this went into the eye and then bent over like this and then became the eyelid. And there was a spring attached to it. And basically what I would have to do to make these things work was I would move my fingers side to side, and then there'd be another one on the other side, and that would cause the eyelid to go up and down. And it was tough to do, but it was the only solution I had that would work. And the way I changed it was I made it so that I don't know if you can see it. There's a spring that goes out through the side and attaches to this plastic part of the eye, which is pretty solid here, through a hole in the skull. And then it goes to a little loop, and then on the end of the loop is a piece of PVC pipe that I just cut a little ring out of, and then you can pull down. You can pull down on that string, and it causes the eyelid to go up and down. So when it's all in there, that's the way it's working. And it seems to be nice and smooth. We'll see once the skin is on it how that goes. In fact, I probably should put a skin on this one before I get too much farther, just to see if it works. Because I'd hate to get all the way done with it only find out that it doesn't work. But maybe that'll be next week's little project. Okay, so let me get my respirator on. Now, I made this thing years and years ago. There's a lot of screws in this thing. I made this thing years and years ago, so that's why it doesn't work for a while. Hi, Lily. Okay. I took so many of these things apart that I just have pieces now. I think I have another nose here too. Okay. So, as you can see, the way this one worked, it's kind of set in there like that. You put some pins in, kind of keep it in place. This would have all been sewn in. These little holes here. And as you can see, the biggest problem with this setup is that, well, I don't know if you can see it. The biggest problem with this whole setup is it's real easy to get the hole in the wrong spot. So I get this far only to drill a bunch of holes that I couldn't use. Okay. Wouldn't it be funny if this all worked now? Okay, let me put a couple of pupils on this thing real quick. And usually I put the pupils on like super late, like after the whole thing's put together, but this is just for demonstration purposes. I'm not going to be able to use any of this stuff for the actual finished puppet, but it's good to have a couple of working prototypes just in case I need to make modifications. I can make them to this and then figure out if it works, and if it doesn't work, then I can regroup, as opposed to getting it all done and then like, oh, I wonder if this will work, and then screwing everything up. See, this is what makes me think this is Ralphie. Okay. See if this even works. It sort of works. The string's a little too long. Okay. Yeah. See, I like that I can move all kinds of stuff there. Hey, Dave. Oh, plus you'll have something to look back on reference when Ralph gets stolen. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So yeah, this is the cutting mat mouth, and the head with the hole in it, with the old mech that I was building when that other one got stolen. Looks like Popeye. All right. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about how I do this because a lot of people are asking. These are the eyes. These are ones that aren't going to be usable because they're just too messed up. But I'm going to make some new eyes for this, and this is a good template. So I made this. This is actually a vacuum form of one of these these Christmas light ornaments. I'll show you what this looks like. So this is the way the Christmas ornament comes. It's you put glitter or something in here, and then you can hang this on your tree, and then get glitter all over your house because it doesn't really seal real well. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind off part of this and then fuse it together to make the eyes that are kind of slanted like this to go on the head. Because otherwise it looks like goggles. It would be like that, or it would be like that. And this actually just occurred to me just now. I made these vacuum form bucks because I was thinking that maybe I was using this as a buck and made some vacuum form pieces. I was thinking that maybe I could use a vacuum formed one instead of a, using the S. These things are really brittle, but it's also more solid than the vacuum form. These are 4-inch. These are 4-inch diameter, I think. I had 3, but they were too small. So this is these are 4-inch. A little bit shy of 4, but yeah, they're 4. Hey, TC. All right, so what I did was I took one of these bucks and I cut an edge off because one of the things that was happening is every one of these was a slightly different angle, and I need to make them uniform. So I'm going to try this. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm only going to use I do use both sides. I used to use it so that, this would be one eye. This is one set, like so. But one has the little edge. There's a little edge on here so it'll snap together. And you can grind this off. But what I think I'm going to do instead is I'm going to just use the ones without the edge. I have plenty of them. Maybe I'll make 2. Maybe I'll make a set that has edges and one that doesn't. But okay, so these are going to be one set, and these are going to be the other. So what I did is I took this vacuum form and I cut a little edge off of it, and I think what I'll be able to do is I think I can trace along that if I keep it justified just right. Do I have another one of those? Just a second. We're on new. This is new ground right now. This might work. Okay, so that's pretty much. Oh, and that's the wrong side. Okay, so let me. Those are both those. Okay. All right, I want to just keep that lined up pretty well. I wish I had more of these little binder clips. All I have are the big ones. I think those will wreck them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace that on there. and you can see what there's an angle on it. I think it was a 35-degree angle. Again, I have it written down nowhere. I have absolutely no recollection other than for some reason I think it's 35 degrees. And what I'll do is I'll set my grinder to 35 degrees, and then I'm going to grind that part off up to that line on both sides, and then I should be able to match that together. Okay, when I use them, I match the edges for a matched pair. Then with the other side of the double bobble, I match those two. That way I have none go to waste. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do too. I may actually break this off or grind it off to this edge. But yeah, I mean, you can see now at least they're lined up to some extent. So I'll grind those off. Let me make the other ones. These things shatter like you wouldn't believe. So just be warned. I have so many of these things that were shattered in that box. I just, because I couldn't find these for a long time. Okay, so those are all ready to go. Let me show you the ones my discards. Lily, no. So I have a bunch here that have broken over the years. So this was B. So this used to be together. And what I do is usually I'll take, after it's ground down, I'm actually probably not going to grind it right now. I just kind of want to show you the process. It's too much trouble to set it up and try and film it. But okay, so let's say I was going to, I will show you how I glue. I can glue this one back together. Okay, so here are these pieces that are all marked. I practically live at the airport. I'm like a mile and a half from, a mile and 1.3 miles from the airport. So after it's ground down, there's just enough of a little edge that you can binder clip these things together. Usually, I may not be able to. I may not be able to do it on this one because it's all mungy. The first one of these things I did, I actually used my hot plate, or used an electric skillet. No, I used a skillet and burned it down. It had a nice flange, but boy, it stunk up the house. I don't know if there's enough material left here to be able to bind this together. I guess it's not going to work. It's not going to work on this one, but what I would do, I have any of the smaller ones. Let me see if I have any of the smaller ones. Phil Fletcher uses a soldering iron for cutting and putting holes in them. It worked a treat the one time. It worked great the one time I tried it. Just have to cut short of the line and file and sand to the line. Yeah, I've used a soldering iron too to do that. You can use a drill. Use one of these step drills. That's how I did the holes here in this eye, in these eyes. Oh, Amber, did you see the Did you see the revised version of this? Okay. So and I can do it at the same time, but it's not easy. But the way it's set up now, there's little rings in there instead of the scissor. So you can actually pull on these, and then it makes the eyelids go up and down. That's about as good as I can do with the space. Okay, so let me. Okay, so you can use super glue and baking soda to get these things together. But you can also use this stuff called this kicker. I don't know if you've used that before. I had not even heard of it before BJ showed me what it was. Let me see if I even have any super glue. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to super glue these guys. Oh my gosh. I'm going to super glue these guys together. And then hit it with the kicker. Hey, how did I do this one-handed before? Again, I haven't done this in years. Last time I even attempted to do this would have been probably about 2011, 2012, just before the Ralph puppet got stolen. I don't even know why I'm doing this other than to show you guys. Okay. All right, good. So that's the way it goes together. Now it's steady enough. And I take this and I put a bead of super glue down in there. And this will change the usually it fogs up the transparent pieces of this, but I don't care because I'm going to paint it white anyway. And you hit it with a kicker. Now it should be set. And I'm going to then, usually I take a small binder clip and I stick it on there and then take these tabs off. So there's a there's this binder clip that's also holding it shut, but I don't think I have any of the little ones. If I do, I'll do that on the real ones I'm doing. But right now we're doing the cooking show. I don't actually put glue on the front, or I don't think I did. I was very lucky on that first one, the one that got stolen, in that because I had burned it, it was still melted, so it just melted itself back together. It was great. Super secure, never had a problem with it. This doesn't work quite as well, but I feel like I'm not killing myself with it, so. Oh, well, maybe I'll. Well, whatever. Put this back together. Okay, so then this is 5-minute epoxy. This is the same stuff that you get in that the double squeeze tube. But I like this stuff better because it's a little cheaper and it lasts longer. You just squeeze out. I'm sure you guys all know this. You just squeeze out as much about the same amount on both, and then you mix them together. And then I'm going to slather 5-minute epoxy on there. And if there was a little binder clip on there, I would be covering that all in epoxy as well. All right. Get rid of this before I end up setting something in it. So basically that's drying. This is garbage. Now when I would take this apart to show you, but I really don't want to take it apart. How I did the center posts in here is I use this, where is it now? I use this Plastruct tubing that the welding rod fits right inside. I'll probably use metal on the actual one, but I had this and I just could cut it with a razor knife and get just the right length. I put in, looks like about 2 inches of tubing, or actually a bit more than that, probably more like 3 inches. So it just poked out. So it just pokes out the edge of that eye there. There's a little end of the nub, and it goes straight back. And I was able to use that binder clip to hold it in place, and then I just covered it in plumber's epoxy so that it was completely embedded in there to make a straight channel for it to go through. And then I took a welding rod and I put a little loop in it, and then tied the string to it with the trigger. And then I attached the spring. There's a little hole drilled right here in the edge of this eye that goes through a little hole in his skull that goes through the side, and there's a spring about that big in there that I then fed the welding rod through and then into the hole straight out through the front, and then bent it around to make the eyelid. And that seems to be the best way to do all this setup. Okay. It's still wet. My original intention for today was to actually build this whole thing from start to finish, a nice clean one. But then I realized I don't have any ultra suede. I don't have any eyes that are made and painted already. They have to sit for like for a day for the paint to completely cure. And I didn't want to have to deal with messing all that up on camera. So I'm gonna prefab it. I think I'm not gonna be broadcasting on Monday, maybe Tuesday I will. But anyway, I'll have everything prefab ready to go. And I'll build it all then. And then I can just do it from start to finish. And then at that point, I can pattern the head. In fact, I may be able to do that today. No, I don't have a mouth palette. Yeah, I could almost do the mouth. I could almost pattern the head. But next time. Have you ever made a Jim Krupa style mechs, like with the Teflon tubing and the Delrin? Okay, so I do have the Teflon tubing. I've done that style. In fact, that's what's in uh, that's what's in here. This is this is that style of mech. There's a spring that pulls down the string and pulls it down. Goes up through tubing. I don't like not having it all in one hand. Like with this is all I can do. Like this other this and they work better. I need to fix these things, but in reality, that's basically a Jim Krupa with the Teflon tubing. I have used Delrin. I don't have any on hand. But what's really funny is I did some work for Delrin, creating a little animated thing for them, and I always wanted to see if they could give me some Delrin as as part of the deal. like I'll do your artwork for so much money and a block of Delrin. But no, I haven't done a whole lot of that. I would love to take his class, but I'm never going to be able to afford to go to the O'Neill. I don't know how I'd be able to do that. I have been able to look at some of his old mechs that he did for Crank Anchors, though. They're really nice. Have you ever made any, Amber? I'm just waiting for this glue to dry so you can see. Again, there's different ways to do it. I just figure stuff out on my own, so I don't have a lot of formal training when it comes to that sort of stuff. The original setup for this mouth, the one that got stolen, is I had a couple of little hinges that basically your finger went on. Where's it drawing? Let me get some paper. One second. These are all my drawings trying to figure out how to make this work. So the original mouth plate that I had. Okay, so we had a hard mouth plate, and then it was tape, and then it was a flexible. This is gasket rubber. Okay, then it had a couple of finger loops. So this is the top. There was a finger loop here and a finger loop here, kind of like I have set up here in this one. Okay, then in between here, I had two hinges. The regular like gate hinges. Okay, so then it was actually Velcroed in because I had to move it so many times that I couldn't get it. I couldn't keep it straight. But it goes this way. Okay, so that was on there. Let me get rid of this finger tube. Okay, so I had a hinge that was epoxied down, and the hinge went up like so. And then I had a piece of wire that was looped around this hole here in each one of these, and it went up to another thing, another loop. So it was a little piece of wire. It was maybe inch and a half long. And then that, in turn, this is the side of the eye. There was a piece of wire. How did I do that? Okay, so how I did it was like on this one, I had 2 screws, one here and one here on both sides. And there was I took a piece of PVC coupling, the 4-inch one, which would fit over the ball, and I cut a thin strip off of it and made 2 eyelids that would go from here to here and go up and down. And then I had a spring that there's a you can see where that screw is. It was like that on here. Oh, here's the spring. So I had a spring on there like so it would go up and down and it would have a return. And then I had a piece of wire that went, it was actually down here. The wire went through the hole behind the nose, and it attached to a loop of wire that attached to this one. So what would happen is, okay, let's pretend it's that long. When the spring was here, you could put one finger in the loop here and another finger on each one of these things. And when you press down on this, it would pull this up and make the eyelid go up. This is what was in the what I call the Chamber of Horrors that was the Ralph Zinobop puppet. It was just this mess of hardware that kind of worked, but it was a lever, which was nice, but just getting it correct and when it would break, it was just one mess after another. So really trying to keep it as simple as possible is your best bet. I mean, the fact that this is working is amazing to me. The biggest problem is because these aren't true half spheres, because of the way these eyelids are, it binds up pretty bad sometimes. So also makes a lot of noise. All right, let's see. All right, this is basically done now. I should probably take it off. I shouldn't do this on camera, just in case it doesn't stick. No, it's not going to stick. But this is what's wrong with this being, me fixing it. All right, it's real loose, but that's how I made those eyes. And then it'll fit. If this was his head, it would go on like so. But it's real loose right now. It may firm up. I don't know. So that's about as much as I can do right now with these guys, unless I want to make another head and pattern it. But again, I'm missing some stuff until Tuesday probably. I'll be on Saturday, but I might draw again. That was kind of fun last time. And I'll probably on the final cover these in shrink tubing so I have something I can glue to make his eyelids. I don't know. We'll see. It'd be nice if it was a hard piece because it's just going to be fabric, which will wrinkle. But here, let me shut that window. It'd be nice if it was. Oh, what was I saying? Can't remember. I do like that he can do one or the other. Okay, if there's no other questions, I'm probably going to cut this short so I can get back to those dogs. Oh. Yeah, so the antenna are its own wire. I just basically um, this is all the same wire that I use for arm rods. The 3/32 welding rod. I may use something more like spring steel when I do the finals, but I just put them on because, again, everybody was saying he looked like Squidward, and I wanted to differentiate him somehow. Um, and I wanted to see if that worked because usually they're an afterthought and they're a lot of work. And then I just put a little bit of plumber's epoxy at the top to round them off. These original ones, these ones, oops, oh my God, his arm. Okay. So these are just pipe cleaners on here, and they always get lost in his hair. And so for years, I've basically put a spring or a piece of wire in there for it. Let me see if I can find his. Apparently, there's nothing keeping his arm on. Oh, well, that's what I get for having a puppet this long. Yeah, so they are connected to each other. It's just basically a I kind of did a like this where they come up, and I just put a bend in it, and it's just pushed through the L200. But because it's at an angle, it kind of keeps it in place. I'll probably either plasti dip it or heat shrink over it or something on the final. I think I'll probably heat shrink over it. That's probably a good idea. And I'll treat the bobbles at the end kind of the same way as I do the noses. I think that'll look pretty good. Yeah. So I'm sorry there wasn't more to this one. I just again, I'm running out of supplies, so I need to restock before I get too much farther on this project. So I will see you guys on Saturday if you want to come on at noon, and I may draw another Melon Club comic. I mean, you saw what this got me. I don't know. Maybe I'll draw it from scratch. All right, I will see you.